Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Aaron Herman. During COVID-19, one of the most important things to have is the right face mask. We had the opportunity to speak with Synovia, who created the SonoMask that's I'm wearing right now. It's washable, reusable, and extremely comfortable. And one of the most important parts about trying to be safe during the pandemic is having the right tools. And the SonoMask has some incredible technology behind it. It actually is 99.35%. It actually neutralizes COVID-19. It's like Iron Dome for your mask. This is an Israeli innovation, and we had the opportunity to speak with Dr. Jason Migdal and Shai Hershkovitz about this incredible mask. And it comes in different colors. You can have an ear loop or a head strap, and it's just truly unique. Let's take a closer look.
So thank you, Aaron, so much for having us today. I'm here in Sonovia facility here in Ramat Gan, Israel. Our team encapsulates into 3 different capsules. Upstairs, Dr. Migdal is sitting with the scientific team in the lab. I'm sitting in the second floor, which is the business development and sales, marketing, and customer support. And downstairs, we have logistics team, with which getting the mask and our product from the north in Israel, where it's being manufactured, and brought them here. Here we packaging the mask and ship them to your places in the US. That's how it works. We are here, small amount of people, only the people who necessary and important are coming to the office. The rest are working from home or from the lab. And we are allowed by the Israeli government to keep working, even if Israel is under a isolation and not allowed, to work in the street and be around. We allowed, and we have a government permission. So here in Israel, we developed the technology that's been invented in Bar Ilan University in Israel. So we invented, Professor Aaron Gedanken from the Bar Ilan University in Israel developed patent technology, which he demonstrates how to take any kind of surface or fabrics in a very, thank you. Look, just a second, sorry, Aaron. I'm going to use a very smart technology called headphones, and then I'm not going to interrupt my colleague. Sorry for that, guys. Even in Israel, we're working so much, we're forgetting stuff.
Innovation Nation sometimes needs a little bit of different types of tech, right?
Correct. Can you hear me well, right?
Yeah.
Great. So just, as I mentioned, the technology invented in Bar Ilan University here in Israel, Professor Aaron Gedanken from the nanomaterial and chemistry department demonstrate like proof of concept, which you can take small surfaces, fabrics, and code them in a very spatial ultrasonic technology, which we invented here. And in that way, we can run different kind of fabrics, different kind of surfaces through roll-to-roll machines. And we can easily coat different materials and give them the properties we want. For example, antibacterial, which we demonstrate we can destroy 99.969 after the period on different bacteria that even resisted to antibiotics. So the company began its journey in the European Commission under a grant from the European Commission. Professor Gedanken and Bar Ilan applied for a consortium in the European Commission, and they asked for funding in order to develop the technology. And the viewers can just Google Sono FP7 and see what we did. Basically, with them, the professor gathered 12 huge organizations from the European Commission, including a hospital which demonstrate a clinical study in Bulgaria, including universities such as Coventry University in England, ATEX in Spain, and other textile companies and medical facilities, which gathered together and invested and got funding from the European Commission in order to build this huge, amazing consortium, which called the SonoFP7. And after 4 years of demonstration and basically pilots and proof of concept, basically the group who did it got permission to do clinical study in European hospitals, and they took 40 patients, which 20 of them was fully antibacterial fabrics, from clothing to bedsheet to pajama to pillow cover to the doctor's clothing, everything. And the 20 other patients were without any antibacterial fabrics, which now we know antibacterial with our technology also count as antiviral. And they demonstrate 1 month of study, and they check the most colonized places in the body, such as the mouth, the ears, and other places. And they demonstrate that very big difference in efficacy between the groups. The group with the antibacterial fully covered were lower amount of bacterial colonies compared to the other groups, which show our technology start. That's the technology how it began, and this is 2014. Since then, the company assignment was to industrialize the small pilot machine which been built back then, in order to industrialize it and make it bigger, in order to commercialize bigger fabrics, and in order to supply hospitals, medical staff, hotels industry, and any kind of airplanes and any kind of places which can be dangerous for people to gather in, and many different people who goes around and meet each other. So that was the beginning. That was the goal in order to achieve, and this is why they got the funding. They started from that. Since then, the company develops a lot. As everybody know, in January, when we heard about the Chinese pandemic, when this all began, we send our fabric to China. We send it in order to help, and the Chinese friends help us in checking the fabrics, and we send these fabrics around the world in the European facilities that authorized from the European Commission to check fabrics and check protocols. So this is how it started, and that how we began. And basically, since the beginning of the pandemic, we had so much work. We hired more than 400 people in Israel, including families in the north, which can help us manufacture the fabrics, store them to mask. We are hired here team of 20 salespeople who can, reach such a big amount of clients from all around the world. So we hired so many people in Israel, and we're happy to help, and we're happy to, donate to hospitals here in Israel, like the Ichilov Hospital, Tel HaShomer Hospital, and other facilities, which we donate, and we're happy to support, and we get so much from the community. We are really interested and happy to give back. And I think Jason can talk about the more development in science, if it's okay.
Yeah, so Jason, one of the things that I found fascinating about the mask is, we've talked before about the importance of comfort, safety, but talk about the evolution. So every mask is different in terms of sort of the development, so that it has, which I said, all this like sort of, I call it almost like the Iron Dome for face mask, right? Where you're able to, like, these spores are coming from people's mouths or noses or whatever it is. How are you making sure that when these spores are, let's say, out there, how are you combating it so that on contact it sort of dissolves?
Exactly. So the fabric was already lab verified to be very highly effective against many different types of bacteria. And this is just basically due to the fact that when any kind of microorganism comes in contact with the fabric that's been treated with the zinc oxide nanoparticle, the actual nanoparticles are what's doing the work here. They're able to produce positive charges, which can destroy the membrane of all kinds of living organisms, which does include viruses. And this was why we made the first washable, reusable face masks, because it had already been proven in scientific literature that although the area of research wasn't fully discovered yet, that there was already some reports that zinc oxide can destroy viruses like influenza, and therefore that was a good enough basis for us to start to produce the fabric from our pilot yardage. And since then, it's been about 7 months or so, and dedicated chemical investigations using various types of zinc, because not all zinc nanoparticles are the same. They're different sizes. The charges can be different, and our chemistry professors have basically identified and created a formula for the best types of zinc for combating the coronavirus. So this tech is able to not only to destroy microorganisms in the air, but it's been specifically designed for COVID defense. And this is what's treated in every single one of our masks. And the most recent publication, which was conducted internationally with the fabric, showed that there was actually over 99% reduction in the coronavirus when it was incubated with our fabric within half an hour. And it should be noted that this is not relative to how long it actually takes for the virus to be destroyed by our mask, but this is a standard protocol for measuring activity. Basically, a virus is a living creature. It's a biological element that needs a cell to replicate in, and in order to assess how effective any kind of antiviral substance is at reducing viruses, you have to be able to assess that by using the replication time periods. So we anticipate that in a real-time setting, that like the Iron Dome, as soon as a virus is sort of propelled in a liquid droplet from someone speaking or sneezing, that this lands on the surface and it's instantaneously deactivated, much like the dome. And as well as that, the number of viruses that we were doing in this lab setting, this is actually much higher than the number of viruses that are in the typical risk situations, like with someone unwell with sneezing, and therefore we've calibrated this to mean that it's over 200,000 times the number of viruses as compared to when someone sneezes, that the number of viruses that we were able to reduce in that time period. So it's a very potent, very safe, and very effective way to deal with airborne transmission. And as well as that, we have recent reports that show that the zinc itself is very, very safe for human usage. A report which was also done in Austria in the EU authorized lab. These reports, by the way, are all accessible on our website for the scientific interested amongst you. And it showed that there was over 90% retention of the cells that were exposed to our substance. And the benchmark for safety is much, much lower, around 70%. And therefore, it's been concluded that therefore the zinc itself is not harmful to human cells. And because of these results, we're actually planning to start some human clinical trials in the US in a hospital there, where actually the nursing staff will be wearing the mask, and their families, and they'll be compared to another group who will just be wearing regular surgical masks, and they'll be routinely tested for COVID-19, and we will be able to collect these results, and this will support that the SonoMask is reducing the incidence of COVID-19 among these medical workers and their families when it's worn appropriately and in the right way. And it's very easy to find a SonoMask which fits your face, because it's not just about the antiviral abilities. The mask needs to be able to cover someone's mouth and nose effectively. And the measurements that we have available and the adjustability and the nose band, it make it very, very straightforward when someone wants to work with our customer service team to find a mask which is going to fit them in a pandemic, on a pandemic level. So we are really pleased that people can find a solution for themselves, which is out there now, which is washable for over a year, and they can do something that's ecological and also back an Israeli engineered product in the way that would benefit not only them but their loved ones as well.
So, like many parents, my son is back in school and is concerned about what's next, and he wears a mask every day, which is required. And creating a mask for an adult and child is complicated. Everyone has, sort of, as you mentioned, different facial features. And one thing that I found, I'm sensitive with masks, and what I found a difference in your mask and other masks is comfort and breathability. And I know even for my son, who was very apprehensive about a mask, it's something that's really important. So how have you looked at this sort of sector in terms of kids and masks, and so how has that evolved in your development for these masks?
Okay, I can start that one. So we have a number of children of employees, and these children were the first models for the mask to ensure that they would fit children from aged 5 up until 11 or 12. And we're very lucky that we have such a family unit here in Synovia. So the children and their parents are very happy to work with us in a safe way to ensure that not only the mask would fit, but the children would be comfortable wearing this all day. And as a result of that, we do feel that it's not going to bother the children to wear a mask with ours as it would so much with other types of masks, because of the breathability of it and the fabric that we've chosen, and the design of, obviously, a child's face has different proportions to an adult, and lots of other types of masks don't take that into consideration. So I'm very, very pleased that this innovation has reached the many children, and it's helping them get back to their education in classrooms.
One of the other things that I was impressed with is the different types of masks. You got the ear loops and then you got the straps. Shai, when you were first thinking about sort of developing this, what was the evolution of saying, okay, comfort, safety, and when do you know you had something that you can scale?
So, in Hebrew we said "chavlei leida." Every company begin with have different, we started with some products which we know were not the best match and were not the perfect product. We had beginning one size which can be adjustable, and then we understand we have to differentiate. We have to make one which better fit women, one who better fit men, one who better fit children, and we differentiate as much as possible. We understand there is for example, medical teams which interesting in having our Macs, and they're interested in having the head straps and not ear loops. And so we adjusted every time we get feedback from client. Some client interested in having more protection because they are in greater risk area. Some clients interesting to have it's like every client interesting to have different perspectives. So we adjust our development and we adjust our designs for children that it will be also protect, also comfortable. People can breathe with this, even in more risk environments. We adjust as much as we can, and we will have more and more ideas. We hired the product manager. She's very capable of development and getting better and better product. We're gonna develop the sono gloves, which are very, very comfortable gloves, which will we add to our clients' basket, you know, and we'll develop different ideas which we think can help in these crazy times. And we are working on that day and night here in Israel with the innovation team. And we're trying always to design whatever the more suitable, more, you know, better needs for our clients in terms of protection, in terms of breathability, in terms of comfort. So we are always changing our models and improving them. And maybe we think that this model is the best, but in 2 months from now we will make this interview again and we'll have a even better one with different designs. And for example, we got feedback from clients that interesting to have our mask in pink. That's a very important issue, I guess. So we're gonna uh, before we're gonna coat the fabrics, we're gonna paint it in pink, and then we're gonna coat it. So all the time we're gonna develop new products. We're gonna develop, for example, car seats. We're gonna develop, for example, airplane seats and covers, and that's on and on. And for your mobile phones, ג'ורדי, אתה יכול להביא לי just a second, ג'ורדי, אתה יכול לזרוק לי את השק הזה שלנו? We have like a, sorry, we have like a bag which we interesting also to, for example, we have one development which is not already in the market, but it's like a sack, you know, and every time you go, you know, this phone have billions of bacteria and germs and viruses because we're going to many places. And for example, so in terms of phones and different applications.
So smart.
So we have all the time ideas, and we're trying to develop and see if the clients, and yeah, when you can speak.
So one of the things that I saw even on social media is your mask has been used now even on the White House lawn, where people have, you know, you mentioned it's you know, your worldwide organization. How was it seeing, you know, your mask being used really around the world? It's being used in Dubai, it's used in the United Arab Emirates. How does this, like, you know, fall into your plan where you're now seeing your product transcend religion, politics, and its safety? Talk a little bit about how some of the interesting sort of partnerships you've had here in the U.S. and Israel and around the globe.
And definitely, I can start, and then Jason can contribute. But we are a tech company. We are not, you know, we are 99% of our people working in the company are Jewish and from Israel, but we are a global company, which interesting in, you know, bringing better product to the world, and of course, bringing our technology as faster, as scalable in the market, as faster as we can. So yeah, we are working in Dubai even since the peace agreement been achieved. We are working in different areas which there are no, you know, real connections to Israel, and we are interesting to bring our technology to the world. We are interesting to give our mask even in the White House staff, which we already given. We're interesting to scale as much as possible, faster as possible, so we don't have any limited of politics, we don't have any limited of religious, and we are on top of everything. And we have partners all around the world who help us distribute the product. We have partners in the UAE, partners in Saudi Arabia. And Jason, you can say about the new models. You know, as I mentioned, we adapt our mask to different territories, and we have the technology which we can coat zinc to the fabrics, and we also can coat different metals into the fabrics. We even have clients from Dubai who are interesting to have a golden mask. We take gold and we use the ultrasonic sound wave to embed nanoparticles of gold into the mask. This is the interesting from the, you know, some royal client in UAE. So we are doing that, and Jason can talk about this more.
Yeah, it comes from popular demand from connections to the United Arab Emirates, and therefore we worked how could we incorporate gold into our product, and the literature already is grown and developed, and it states that nanoparticles of gold of a particular size are actually antiviral agents as well. And therefore, our research team here in Israel has already um, obtained the resources that they need to start to create high proprietary fabrics, such as silks, which filter to a very high level. As meeting the World Health Standards, and also additionally permanently embed that with gold nanoparticle technology. And the idea would be that perhaps because of the pandemic, there's going to be a shift towards luxury items, and this being a type of PPE. And it's only natural that when an item such as a mask is becoming so ingrained in society, there's going to be an offset of that is going to look for the highest level of the of highest scale of the item. And Sonovia, I think we've identified that and have the ability to create that for some of our clients. And we also want to present this to outstanding members of the community, and we plan to give this to the president of the Jewish community in Dubai after his recent engagements with the Israeli public. And once we have the certifications for this gold mask, it will then be probably retailed out to different luxury department stores for a new type of deluxe product.
One of the things that Shai mentioned, which I thought was very interesting, is that you talk about innovation, and even the way that you're looking at sort of what's on the horizon. Even with travel, looking at sea covers, and people are thinking like how are they going to travel, and you showed the prototype with the putting your phone in the sack. Is that these are all, I guess, complicated evolutions, and what I think is really interesting is everything is done in Israel, correct? This is you're not exporting this to China. Everything is done in Israel.
Initially, our testing has taken place in facilities that were able to do this type of antiviral testing, but by no means is it limited to that. And all of the design features are currently undertaken in Israel, and there's plans to expand out with Delta, which are a very large clothing manufacturer here in Israel. And for the final industrial phase of the mask, we plan to collaborate with them to be able to achieve the global demand for the mask from Israel. Yeah.
And finally, Shai, now that you've seen this sort of evolution of the company, where do you see the company in 2 years?
So because of the pandemic, the world changed. People won't take any more, Uber together. We don't have people would won't like to fly. We think people will fly with masks for the next 5 to 10 years. We think that people will be, freaked about sleeping in some, hotels. We think the world have changed. The pandemic have changed the world, and what we did in the last years, we developed the technology to, to eliminate, to destroy basically infections in hospital and destroyed bacteria. But as the world look now, our technology shift away not only from hospital and from bacteria. We understand that the world will need our solution for everything, for car industry, especially sharing car industry, which will be really influenced from the current pandemic, hotels, flights, office spaces, We understand that the industry changed, the world changed. We understand the need for solutions against viruses, against bacteria. We're going to develop our technology to be applicable for different facilities, even for example for facilities like glass, even for example facilities like when you go to the elevator and you have to touch the buttons, different surfaces which we're interesting to code, different clothing, different accessorize. We're going to be on top of everything. We think that it's the word trend. I'm not sure if Jason mentioned it before, but our technology are sustainable. We don't use chemical binders in our technique to coat fabrics. This is a major trend which we are on top on. We are developing all of our chemicals on base of water and not different chemicals which use to bind between the properties like zinc and the fabrics. We don't use those chemical binders. Jason, can you elaborate about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main method which is in place for giving antimicrobial properties to fabrics, such as those to be used in bed sheets, it's via a method called extrusion. And in order to achieve the chemical to be deposited onto the surface of the fabric, it requires additional binders which fix it to the fibre itself. And with this method, which is currently the only really recognized one in the technology field, the properties will wash out after maybe 10 to 15 washes. And so therefore, not only is the leaching much higher, but you're also using potentially sometimes chemicals which are not really belonging inside of the fabric, and they could have other types of effects than those that were intended. But this is very different to what we are doing with cavitation, with the patented technology that we have here, and with the nanoparticles themselves actually being embedded permanently into fabric fibers, and therefore it's not only are you needing to use less because of the durability of these said compounds, so it works out as requiring 50% less of the actual agent that you were using, but you're not using these binders either. So in terms of an ecological standpoint for chemical waste, it's much more effective, and this is why the grant funding in the past that Synovia has attained, such as Fashion for Good, a scheme which is helping to develop sustainable applications for textiles manufacture, was endorsed by several million to the company. And when you look at a daily mask, such as one which is having antimicrobial properties, which there are quite a few of now in comparison to the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of these are still using these types of binders, and the properties will only last maybe 10 to 15 washes themselves, and then the mask is just not able to produce any kind of defense response to the virus. And a questionable thing for some of these other types of fabrics are that people may be able to buy in the shops. They don't filter to the level of the infective droplet, which is around 5 micron. They are not providing a sufficient guard to airborne viruses on the fabric level itself. So this is one of the cautions that some people do need to operate when they are choosing a reusable mask, and the intention might be that they are wanting to preserve environmental resources, but in the grand scheme of things, the benefits may not always outweigh the cost with some of these other types of fabric masks that are out there at the moment.
So just one final question, breathability, because you can have all this incredible sort of tech that's within, but one of the things that people are concerned about is actually the breathability. So how did you choose this fabric so that you knew that it is a comfortable and more accessible for airflow, but in a safe manner.
Yeah, so we can take some of those questions. Our CTO is the one that was involved in the direct selection of fabrics which would meet properties for durability and breathability and the ability to be compatible with our process, which is a universal process, but still different types of fibers are better candidates for it. And this was achieved via Israel lab testing for measuring the filtration efficiency of the fabric, and in order to be registered as a face mask, the fabric used to actually filter over 98% at 5 microns, and this was one of the tests which was undertaken on fabric candidates, and the best results coming from polycotton blends. And the benefits of this as well is the water repellency of the fabric, which is more so than just a natural fiber. And this is important when you think about the droplets themselves, and if a fabric is able to repel moisture to a degree, it's definitely going to make it a better, bit better fit for this type of purpose. And as well as this, we looked at a lightweight fabric because we want it to be something that even children would be able to wear and not feel that they're being antagonized on their faces. And as well as that, it needs to be a hypoallergenic type of fiber. So if something has a high natural fiber content, there's more chances of allergic reactions in skin individuals that may have skin sensitivities, and this is one of the other lab tests that we've checked, actually not only on the fabric itself but also on the final zinc treated fabric, and there was no stimuli for allergic reaction on the examination of this particular test. And in the future, Synovia may offer higher filtration fabrics for specialized occupations such as dentists or different types of clinical workers, such as those that might be working in anesthesia when there's a much higher risk occupation for contracting airborne diseases. And in order to do this, the fabric will filter to a higher degree, and we still want to be able to do this process without the use of disposable filters, because this is against the ethos of the company for non-recyclable parts. And we plan to roll this out for clinicians as soon as we've finished testing fabrics at this higher level of filtration.
And where can people learn more about your company?
Sure. So really the best place that we update weekly and daily would be our Facebook page, Synovia Limited, facebook.com/Synovia Limited. And then they can also reach our customer service team for detailed questions. As well as that, as I mentioned, our dedicated webpage, Synovia Limited, sonoviatech.com, sorry. People can see all of the lab results and selected media that they might want to have a look at. And we're happy to reach out to anyone that has questions for us.
Great. Well, thank you both for taking time. Both of you have done such an incredible job in keeping people safe around the world. And what always impresses me of people who are disruptors and innovators is that you keep on going, right? It's not just this. You have like these really important concepts and ideas that will help hundreds of thousands of people around the world. So I want to wish all of you good luck on your ventures. And thank you for everything they do. And we look forward to catching up in a couple months to hear more. So thank you again for everything. And we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
as you can see, the SonoMask by Synovia is truly an incredible product. It will help you protect yourself against COVID-19. This is Aaron Herman, and thank you for watching.